Hi, I'm teacher Zdenek from Zdenek's English podcast, and you're listening to the Vocab Man.
I am the Vocab Man, and this podcast is going to help you to learn different expressions. Like in episode 2, the expression gotcha.
I finally gotcha, you little rat.
Gotcha.
Gotcha.
Or in episode 35, batshit crazy.
Just kind of think of how batshit crazy the whole thing.
But this time we are gonna change things a little bit up and have a discussion with teacher Zdenek. It goes without saying that you are gonna learn something anyways. The thing is, the other day I saw you commenting on the Discord platform in which I am a member of the group called Learn English Online, and actually you gave some advice to an English learner there. Apparently she has been preparing herself for the certificate in advanced English, and this person didn't think she was already prepared for an exam. She pointed out that she would have a lack of vocabulary. You wrote something like, I can recommend you a very good book to boost your vocabulary. You remember?
Right. It must be the book that I recommend to everyone because I know it personally helped me and I think it's quite useful for high-level learners. So I do remember which book I keep recommending, but I don't remember this particular post you're referring to.
I think it was back mid-November already. So
Okay.
But that got me thinking, and now I have the opportunity to talk to you. I'm super curious. Why do you find it useful and very unique?
Okay, well, I think the book is called Practical Everyday English. Let me just check it because there are a lot of books that have a similar name. I think the answer, Danielle, is in the title itself, actually. Yeah, Practical Everyday English, and it was written by Stephen Collins, and it's actually a series of books which are divided by levels as well. So the first one is the Blue Book. I referred to it as the Blue Book, and it's suitable for B2 level learners, so upper intermediate level learners. And then after that, you've got, I believe, is there like a red book and a green book? Yeah, I think there's a red book for advanced learners, and then there's a green book for high level learners. Yeah, so it kind of corresponds to C1 and C2. And I really like this book because it's a unique way to teach vocabulary. As the title suggests, it's quite practical. So the way this works is that you have got different units, and in each unit there is a certain number of expressions that you learn. So let's say it's about 15 or 20, I don't know exactly. And they seem to be seemingly unconnected. Yeah. So it's like kind of all over the place. So it's a bit of phrasal verbs, some idioms, and just, a bit of slang as well. So it seems like the author of the book tried to go for expressions that are used a lot. That's why it's called Practical Everyday English. So these are expressions that perhaps you wouldn't find. Sometimes you wouldn't find them necessarily in a classic course book, like some of those slang expressions, perhaps, some of the idioms. And so the way this works is that you've got an entry, a vocabulary entry. Let's say they teach you the expression to kick the bucket. I don't know if it's there, but let's just have an example. Of course. Then the expression is explained. There's a meaning, there's an example, and then you learn the next one. But what the author did is very cool, actually, because every single example from that point on, from then on, every single example contains one of the words from the previous units. You see, so in the so you would be learning, let's say, a phrasal verb to throw away as the next one, and you would have an example. You would have an example sentence which would also contain to kick the bucket in it. I don't know how you would do that. I'm just trying to come up with some sort of a silly example, but you know how it works.
Basically, you can revise the older vocabulary words you were learning. You revise it automatically while learning the new one.
Exactly, but it's as if you don't almost have a choice because you'll always see the previous expressions. You will always see them. So the author keeps reminding you, because that's the thing with learning new vocabulary. We just forget. We forget easily. You need to reinforce it, as we say. Yeah. it's not enough to just learn it once and then
Yeah.
use it, I don't know, 10 minutes later. It's not enough. This is a very cool method, and it really, I have to say, it really helped me personally as well, because I've learned a lot of expressions from that series of books, and I can only recommend it.
And where did you find out about that book?
I think I was looking for some material to use in my English classes, and I probably just came across it by chance, I assume. I don't think anybody had ever told me about this.
Do you remember when you bought it?
That's a good question. I'm looking at it online, and it says here it was originally published in 1993. Since then, it must have been revised a few times, I assume. I think I bought this 8 years ago, and I think I bought the first book first, and I liked it so much that I bought the following ones. And I also bought it for some of my friends as a gift, because it's that good. Like, this is really cool.
And how does the book resonate with your students or with your friends? Did they give you any specific feedback?
Yeah, I remember using it with some of my private students, and I think they also like the way it's organized. You know, what sort of like strikes you about it, or what you notice first, is that it's really different from what you would expect. Like, you have this series, Vocabulary in Use, which is also very good, but it's like, let's say, it's the typical way you would have a vocabulary book organized, right? This is different, and that's what's kind of cool about it. And there's, as far as I remember, there's also some sort of an article, which is also recorded. So a CD comes with it. And in this article, you will find all that vocabulary, because obviously it wouldn't otherwise make sense, because when you teach vocabulary as a teacher, you have to teach it in context. Yeah. And so it's not good enough if you just randomly pick a selection of vocabulary. So there's also a text, something, some sort of an article or something, or is it more like a dialogue? I can't remember. It might be actually a dialogue, yeah, which is also recorded and as well as written, so you can read it and listen to it, and you see it all used in context, which is super important as well. But for me, what really stands out are those examples, because it's such a clever way to do it. You know, you keep seeing the same vocabulary all over again, and that also applies to the following books. So in the red one, in the green one, you will also see the vocabulary from the blue book, you know, so it's really, really good.
Yeah, I think a lot of learners shy away from grammar books. So do you think that chances are those learners would like it?
Well, the thing is, like, depends on your focus, really, right? Like, we need grammar, we need vocabulary. But you would be surprised, but sometimes there can be a bit of fine line between grammar and vocabulary, because sometimes it's actually hard to say whether it's grammar or vocabulary. You know, for example, I remember my university teachers telling me something like, "Oh, should we use gerund or should we use infinitive with to?" Well, this looks like it's grammar, but actually it might also be considered vocabulary, because there's this lexical approach which focuses on chunks of language. Yeah, so when you could look at it from the point of view of a chunk. For example, I enjoy listening to my fluent English. Yeah, so that's a chunk. Yeah, I enjoy plus ing. Yeah, but it's also kind of grammar, because you need to use the gerund, and it's in the position of an object. But you see what I'm trying to say. And in this book, and I think in this book, you also notice expressions like that, and they may occasionally sort of go a bit deeper, like explain a bit more about it, but not too much. So it's really more vocabulary focused. But at the same time, you might learn some of these expressions which might look like grammar at first sight. But yeah, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I get your point.
For me, it's important that the learner really enjoys what they are doing, and whatever method they choose, you know, to pursue English is pretty much a good method. Ultimately, like, there are different ways you can reach your goal, right?
Do you have the physical version?
Yeah, I have got a physical version, yeah, but I also have the digital version. So,
okay,
but
yeah, that is great.
I prefer the physical version, because I like to highlight the vocabulary that I don't perhaps know, or I don't use it enough, and I even like rate it in terms of its difficulty. So if there's something I've never heard before, I would give it 5 stars. If this is something I, let's say, know of, but I don't use it enough, I would give it 3 stars. So it's just my way of doing this.
Yeah, I see. So now I am super eager about that book, and maybe I'm gonna purchase it. Well, I
Yeah, you
guess
should.
so. I will.
I just want to say that you're going to know a lot of these expressions, but that's not the point. I'm pretty sure you can learn some new, and most importantly, you will reinforce what you've already seen, and you might even end up using it.
What about you? Did you learn all of the expressions by heart, or do you know them all?
I'm sure I don't know them all. I'm not that systematic, you see,
Okay.
but I'd say those books really helped me. Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you very much, Zdenek. It was really great to hear your opinion.
It's always a pleasure, Daniel. Thanks for inviting me.
Thank you very much, guys, for tuning in. The next time we are gonna focus on some expressions teacher Zdenek used in this interview. I'm looking forward to it because that will enable me to learn some new expressions, and hopefully I will be able to use them in an active way. Thank you very much. Bye.
Well, are we recording yet, or? Because
Yes.
I'm a bit confused.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
I am recording the whole thing, you know.
Oh, I know, but like I didn't know like when does it start? So I'm just...
No worries, because I want
Okay.
it to be as natural as possible. So
I see.